Hey everybody, welcome back. Looks like we have a little lens thing here, a little scuff. Just a little bit of grime on the lens, which I took off now. So anyway, hey everybody, welcome back to Greenland. We're at the Nuuk International Airport, which you've already seen, but it's really amazing compared to what the old airport was like. Very much a tiny little bus station, and this is the real deal. Huge soaring ceilings, different gates, big duty-free cafe, everything fresh and new. And it's a very interesting moment here because we have the jet Air Greenland Copenhagen flight, the A330 coming in here, as you've seen on this previous video I did flying in the cockpit, but also now this summer you're getting SAS coming in. Iceland Air is going to bring a 737, and you're going to get United coming in from Newark. Now that is very big news indeed for Greenland to have flights like that, especially a non-stop from New York. All very interesting to see, not least because of all the sort of political craziness going on around Greenland right now, which I'm not going to wade into because that's not what we do here, but it all sets the stage for a fascinating situation from an aviation standpoint. Anyway, growing interest in Greenland, more tourists coming, more business coming, Nuuk growing. It's a fascinating time to be here, and it's been so cool to be here over the years, the last few years, covering its aviation and by extension what's happening here in this amazing country. Anyway, today I'm leaving Greenland and I'm taking the Reykjavik flight, which I've done once before. There's a video on here from, what was it, last year? I can't remember now. Flying, in that case we did the Dash 8 from Nuuk to Reykjavik, but we stopped in Kulusuk on the way. Today is going to be a non-stop, almost 3 hours on a Dash 8, transatlantic technically, which is very interesting for a Dash 8-200 especially, to go that far and non-stop and over the ocean. So I'll be in the jump seat for this one again, and hopefully bring some added value, find ways to make it a little different than the last one. If nothing else, I think it's cool to see such a long haul on Dash 8, on a tiny little Dash 8. As you can see out the windows here, the sun has still not risen. It's January, and a little bit of light coming into the sky now, a bit. I think the sun doesn't rise until close to 11 a.m., 10:30 maybe. So we should be greeting a very beautiful sunrise on or just after takeoff when we get up over those mountains there. It's always amazing flying here, but especially a sunrise flight on what I hope is a relatively clear day. I actually don't know. Haven't been able to see. It is snowing though, so I guess it's not. I just noticed that it's snowing. So yeah, not such a clear day. But anyway, I think we're gonna board. So let's do this.
From Nuuk information, there is no outbound traffic control of Iceland in on control airspace. Reykjavik, Air Greenland 717 to Keflavik. My flight plan route flight level 250, squawk 3243.
Start checklist. Yep. Fully ready. Engines are warm. Yep. And go. 84. Clear left. Should take Bravo. Ja. Hvis den er ryddet, så bare Alpha til backtrack. Gør vi det. Reykjavik Control, Greenland 710 to incoming 250 inbound to Volo.
Greenland 710, Reykjavik Control, good afternoon, identified.
712.
You just switched to Reykjavik Control once you got above what flight level?
195. Yeah.
So everything over Greenland is Reykjavik control above there.
Yeah, until 63 north, around that. Then the scanner radio.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you can actually see the map here. So this little bit here is delegated to Gander, while all this part up here is Iceland.
Interesting. Does that ever get complicated, having to deal with Gander in the south?
Gander can be a little bit troublesome sometimes, especially because they are limited by the Icelands have in this, let's see, part up to Ilulissat, maybe a little bit more further north. They have, I think it's called I think they have ADFSP coverage, so they can see us and they can identify us, so they can use a lot less separation between us. While Gander does not have that, so sometimes when you have just one airplane in their airspace, it kind of limits everyone else, so they cannot give any clearances. So we've had experiences with wanting to descend down to Nassau and weren't released for descent, so they had to circle in flight level 24 or 250. So yeah, it's troublesome sometimes. However, sometimes it's smooth and easy.
And then below 19.5, like around Nuuk and everything, it's an AFIS, right? It's information. It's not ATC.
No, it's not ATC now.
There used to be ATC at Kulusuk, or
There still is.
Still is. Okay.
For a year. There were some talks about, I think it was Junior talked about information that they were getting some sort of ADSB coverage as well. So
Okay.
they would be able to, like in Copenhagen, when you're talking to Copenhagen information, then they'll be able to identify you.
Okay.
But I don't know, and then give information sort of like traffic is at 12 o'clock, 2 miles.
Alright.
On this flight, someone told me that when you're doing it to Reykjavik, you have to have Kulusuk open in order to do it. Is that because it needs to be your alternate?
It's
We need to be adequate airdrome, so we have to be within an airport maximum 1 hour away from one airport.
Yeah, it's 1 hour engine. What's it?
Yeah,
1 hour
engine
away,
out.
one engine out.
Yeah.
Right.
Around 213 nautical miles. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the last 2 times I tried to fly this route, it got cancelled because the weather in Kulusuk was too bad.
Okay.
So
I experienced one time where they had a NOTAM out in Kulusuk. Airdrome closed due to polar bears.
yeah,
So it was quite tough to explain to the passengers that we couldn't fly to Iceland because there's polar bears in Kulusuk.
That is amazing. What? So there were polar bears on the runway, or what?
I think they couldn't get to the airport, but I don't know.
too dangerous to go outside.
Yeah, pretty low. 101 that's the count to check. So sometimes when they are understaffed, or if weather is too bad that they can't get to the airport, they have to close it, and then we can't fly to Iceland.
Is there a certain weather minimum for you to be able to treat it as an alternate, or is it just that they have to open the airport?
It's not an alternate airport, it's called an adequate airport. So
see.
it just need to be operating, open, and with all the fire and fight equipment. So actually there is no requirement for weather or runway or anything else.
Back in the days, maybe 10 years ago, there's so much snow that the walls of the snow was around 4 or 5 meters high, and then we just landed, on the runway, and you can only see the tail of the aircraft. That was crazy times.
A sector like this, 3 hours, is that towards the end of the limits of the range of this aircraft, or it could go further?
This one can actually fly directly to Copenhagen.
Yeah, it actually
it did
did.
once, yeah.
That is a surprise to me.
Yeah, during the COVID, there was an ambulance flight from Nuuk directly to Copenhagen. Very ill passengers, so they had to get him to Copenhagen. So it's got the range.
Wow. So when you were too heavy to take off with the extra fuel, that's because you were over max takeoff weight?
Yeah, for
structural.
takeoff. Yeah. So I don't know what happened. Actually, gonna write a report so it won't happen again.
Sometimes things happen, curveballs.
Yeah.
A lot of curveballs here, I guess. That's part of the fun, right?
It is.
But it was much quicker than getting the mechanics out to the aircraft, put AC power to the aircraft, start defueling the aircraft. It
They
takes
had to go through the
such a long time.
security, and an hour easily would have been gone there.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit unfortunate that we have to use either money and resources to fuel that doesn't go anywhere. So
The limit is minus 54. Just went to minus 53. So it's a precaution. We're just gonna descend 2,000 feet. too warm a temperature.
Very interesting. What that limit is based off of what?
Aircraft structure.
Yeah,
or
aircraft structure, the ceilings on the props, and yeah.
Will it warn you if it gets to that limit, or you have to?
No, we have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, so it's just an AFM limitation from the manufacturer. I actually don't know why, but
Interesting.
I've seen it when it's been for too long in -54. We had the seals on the propellers, they were leaking, so there was just oil everywhere.
Wow.
So we had to ground the aircraft. Down in Narsarsuaq and spent the night. So
Is it usually not this cold up at 250?
during the season it's quite normal. Yeah.
Is fuel temperature an issue then as well? or
No, never. No.
See, I love being up here because if I was in the back right now, I'd be wondering, why are we descending?
Yeah.
Now I have the answer.
yeah, sometimes we wouldn't even people don't even notice that we're descending.
Yeah, I would imagine most people don't.
But the good thing about all this is now the Danes want to hear what the Greenlanders say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That took forever.
Yeah.
It's never happened before.
It's also quite remarkable to see. I met some Swiss people that were in Nuuk for they were just there between Christmas and New Year, so they went there to celebrate New Year, I think, in Greenland. They were there for 4 days, which is kind of uneven, but they were talking about that Nuuk is like everywhere in Europe.
Yeah,
Everybody's talking about Nuuk.
Yeah.
And this was just when the airport opened. It was before Trump even went out.
Right.
Er det blå?
Er du på Reykjavik Control?
Næsten 326.
Ja, det er også. Er I på vej hen?
Er vi på vej til Keflavik?
Helt oppe.
We had a Dash 8 flying to Kulusuk yesterday, and they got caught with the weather, so they had to spend the night. That's very unusual.
They landed, but they couldn't get out.
Wow.
Too much tailwind for departure.
Wow.
It's quite nice to have a sort of change in. Sometimes when you're going up and down, up and down, up and down, which is quite nice, but it's quite nice to also have a little bit change of, talking to a controller, getting a star and sit and Reykjavik, then hearing other aircraft on the radio.
As you get older, you just want to sit and do nothing for quite a lot of time. So
Right, this is the one Dash 8 flight where you get to chill a bit, right?
Yeah.
just
This
waiting
one-
for openings on the 330 or 320. That would be nice.
This one and the flight from Nuuk to Thule. It's also a long flight.
Yeah.
And actually the one from Nuuk to Keflavik was also, it's alright, but it's a little bit long too. It's a good medium stage.
Yeah.
It's quite nice to hear the French controls on the other side.
Oh yeah, that is very interesting. I took that at Keflavik flight last summer, and then I was flying around in Nunavut a little bit. So
nice.
hearing the sort of Montreal controllers and the sort of different pilots, it's kind of interesting actually, because it's a bit like how in France they constantly speak French on ATC. So the people who don't speak French, you don't have that awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but it was happening there too, where you actually have you have pilots who don't speak French who are flying around, and they don't know what you just said.
No. I flew to Charles de Gaulle a few times as well. They also speak French.
Yeah.
Greenland 710 Kulusuk Airfield. Was that you?
Hey Vip, hello then. How goes? How was your weather?
Hello, Isak. Det er nogenlunde. Det sneer. Men 7 knots fra 350 magnetic og 2,500 meter thick. Light snow. Scattered 1,000. Broken 2,000. Temperature minus 3, dew point minus 4. QNH 90990.
I had my first engine failure on this aircraft in Kulusuk.
Really?
Yeah.
At what point of the flight?
Just after rotation.
Wow.
The thing that we practice in the sim, but we were told that's never gonna happen.
Wow.
So
And how was it? What was the experience?
I had a good co-pilot with me. He flew brilliantly, so that was good.
Yeah.
But the weather was bad. There was a storm coming in. We didn't go into clouds because there was lots of icing. I didn't want to go into clouds. Just one engine, so
Yeah.
had to stay underneath, get everything sorted out, checklists, calculations, and just back and land.
Wow.
This aircraft had a fault because there's 2 sensing systems in each engine. And this one only had one. So as we were going down the runway, because we looked at the data afterwards, the one engine said, okay, I'm gonna fail, so I'm just gonna give the good engine 10% more. And then the system said, oh no, I'm not failing anymore, so okay, I'm just gonna roll the power back. And then it said again, okay, I'm gonna fail. Okay, so 10%, and then just went to feather just after rotation. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we have the auto feather system.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So during a takeoff roll, when you have a certain power setting, which is not to get too technical, but when you're advancing the power levers,
Yeah.
and then you have a sense of either the sensors in the engine are telling that the engine is failing, then it will command either what we call a power up trip, so it'll get a little bit more power to the engine that is still working, 10% extra, and then it'll feather the other one.
Right.
But that really we won't. If it does happen while the engine is running still, not failing, we call it an unscheduled feathering, and you get actually you have to shut down the engine.
Yeah.
The thing is that the aircraft can still fly on one engine, so that's no issue there.
It actually flies perfectly.
It flies really good. It's really good power that you get on because we have these big engines.
Yeah.
However, it's just the fact that you have just one airport on this side of the ice, and with water on the other side, you have one chance, and that's here. That was way to Kulusuk. Yeah. But actually, they got moved to another flight, so I was not there. But we were 4 or 5 flights going from Kulusuk to Nuuk, but it was stormy weather in Nuuk, so we couldn't land, and everybody was. But then it sort of dipped down, and it looked like it was possible. So we had I think we were 4 flights coming, and they were just in a line, and we were the first one, and my family was in the next one.
Yeah.
And I remember I talked about that. I was quite fascinated with the rain in France, because usually it felt like that. When I grew up, I remember rain is combined with wind, so rain always comes this way. And I think they looked at me and thought, you're a little bit weird. But then when we landed in Nuuk, and it was quite rough, I think we had moderate turbulence, but everything looked good, and we landed and came in. And when they went out, the rain was coming like that. So they said, now we understand.
Yeah.
We can see, but they were amazed of how much the aircraft was moving, and that we were even able to land in that weather.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was good.
Cool.
And now they're talking about putting the wind limit up to 50 knots again.
Yeah, our limit at the
Oh,
moment
wind limit, yeah.
is landing 40 knots.
Wow.
Because that was based on the old airport. But now they're talking about getting up to 50 knots. It's going to be even more probably challenging. But now we got a longer runway to land on, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, for you it must make life easier at Nuuk, right? I mean, you can do more with that longer runway now.
Yeah, the thing is, when you start to get 50 knots winds in Greenland, like in Nuuk and Inuit, you start to get these, I don't want to call them tornadoes, but
vortices.
Vortices, you just see them coming down over the water,
Yeah.
and then you just know that's not good.
No.
It's also really depending on the direction, because you see the Nuuk runway is like pointing that way. If you have the wind coming from the sector, from the mountains, you know you're going to get really slammed here.
Yeah.
Because there's a big mountain here and wind's coming there, and I don't know how, but we all know that just at 10-8 miles final, you're gonna get
Your ass kicked.
Yeah. So usually we would like to prefer to make an approach from this angle instead.
I guess I need it up.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, but if the wind is coming from the southwest, it's actually quite smooth. You can have up to 40 knots, which is our limit, but you won't feel a thing. The simulator is located at the coastline.
Yeah.
There is a mountain up here, and so when the wind is coming from the north, you sort of have wind coming up, coming down from this side, and then meeting at the runway. So you have tailwind for both ends of runway. Note that this is only 800 meters, so you have a wind coming from each side. Sometimes you can actually see sort of vortices on the middle of in the middle of the runway.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, I remember my girlfriend's parents. They landed in Sisimiut years ago with the R-7.
Yeah.
And they said they experienced turbulence like no other.
Yeah.
And then the pilot went outside and said, "Who the hell thought of making an airport here?"
Runway 10, patchy contaminant.
Number 7, copy that.
Patchy contaminant. Transition level 80. Weather at 1430 UTC. Wind 300 degrees, 12 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Cloud scattered at 3,900 feet. Status information India. Issued at 1432 UTC. Runway 01 in use. Expect ILS or RNT approach. Runway 01.
When they say you have information India, what do they mean?
You're using the letters from A to C set. Yeah. So usually every half an hour the weather changes. They update this one. So the first one of the day is like information Alpha. Then half an hour later Bravo, and then we're at India now.
Okay.
So it's a designator for the message.
So our call to, I think it's approach. So we're gonna stay at Greenland 710. Information India QNH 993. So now they know that we have the information about the weather.
Okay.
That way they can make sure that we're aware of the correct weather, because if we caught an example, we have information India, but it has since changed to Juliet, then they'll know there's a discrepancy and they can say, hey, you should listen to Juliet. So it's sort of making sure that everybody is getting the same information. Stand by, please.
Greenland 710, continue number 1. I have sweepers number runway. Will be vacating in about 1 minute.
Continue Greenland 710.
Greenland 710, wind 310 at 12 knots, runway 01, clear to land.
Yes, and runway 01, request a non landing Greenland 710.
Greenland 710, that's approved.
Approve Greenland 712.
100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
After landings.
Greenland 710, continue to the end, left November, use caution in touch.
Cover to the end, left on November. Use course Greenland 710.
All the way to
Greenland 710, we clear the runway on the ground 121 decimal lines.
Over the ground 121 decimal line. When clear the runway Greenland 710.
6 calls go back, push it at the food stand for 1. Check out runway 28 in use now. Remember to cross.
Welcome to Iceland. It's a much bigger, more developed place. Really feels a world away from Greenland, but just as beautiful outside, especially coming in with clear skies and snow on the ground everywhere. You can see the flat plains around Keflavik and Keflavik Airport and some mountains in the distance, all looking kind of pillowy white with the black at the edges of the land where the beach was. Really special. I've never actually properly explored Iceland. I've been in Reykjavik for one night, and again I'll have one night out here around Keflavik. Really want to come back at some point and spend a week. You know, it's on the list of all the amazing places I've yet to go, and yet I've been to so many so far, including incredibly Greenland 4 times now, and it never gets old for me. It doesn't seem like it ever gets old for those Dash 8 pilots flying in and out of those amazing environments. And this one is such a long one, this 3-hour flight for that Dash 8 operation. And at first it feels like it is very long, but then all of a sudden you're there in Iceland. And what a cool thing. They told me that Dash 8 actually has extra fuel tanks and could fly all the way to Copenhagen if they wanted to, which is just astounding to me. Even 3 hours seems like such impressive range for a tiny little prop like that. I love how capable that plane is, and always fun to be up there in the flight deck, see how things go down. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and let me know, are you tired of Greenland content yet, or do you want yet more? Because as they open new airports, Ilulissat is coming, and Qaqortoq, I'm going to be tempted to go back to see more of what's happening there, the development there, aviation really starting to boom, everything. It's really a moment for Greenland, and this summer lots of new flights coming in, like I mentioned, so it's a place I know I'll keep coming back to. The question is, how many more Dash 8 videos can I do on this channel? Hopefully more. Hopefully you'll let me keep doing them by continuing to watch them, sharing with your friends. Thank you for liking, commenting if you enjoyed it, and of course, subscription always welcome. So, I'll see you next time from the next adventure. Thanks for joining this one, as always. For Flight Radar 24 in Reykjavik, or Keflavik I should say, I'm Gabe Lee.